Hello and aloha to everybody in the planet Earth, especially Americans. I have made this segment a message to President Barack Obama. It falls into my jurisdictions as an elder of God. To comment and advise people where I was deemed necessary to do so. I have to be able to do a few other things, but I think by the end of this year, this would be, I will call it quit and go. Anyways, my message to the President is that, directly talking to you, sir, wholeheartedly, I am so happy of the victory that you call it victory, or some of you Americans call it victory, but your election. And the fact that American, after so many years, a few hundred years, their democracy reached to a point that resulted in election of so-called black American, which, by the way, you're not, me and you know, half black and half white. And most of the knowledge that you have got, all the knowledge that you have got, and it was through the sincere upbringing of your mother and your grandparents. It is a great victory for America to get there, but your election reminds me of the movie that I've watched it several times. Guess who is coming for the dinner? People didn't know the result of democracy. The day when they signed the Declaration of the Independence, when North and South, they fought over their issues. No one knew. The collective of America at that day was looking at this day, the day that a man of your stature, your wisdom, actually become the President of the United States, regardless of his color, his ethnicity, and even gender. But there's a problem, a very deep problem, and this is precisely why I am sharing my opinion with you, sir. The election nowadays in America have made the people into two groups of losers and winners, and this is the problem. You think democracy, an election such as the one that happens in America, that is already the victory. The victory is in having a country that goes through such election. The result, whatever it is the result of the majority of the people. So everybody should be calling themselves winner, but it is not the situation right now. The media. I have watched MSNBC, good people, such as Chris Matthew. And on the other side, you know, Fox News, people like Hannity. They are throwing a lot of 2x4s into these fires. These media, they're not helping Americans, because their comments are totally one-sided. It is all about attacking the losers. It's all about attacking the winners. And one in America has to come and tell them to stop it. I would have to say MSNBC is not as bad as Fox News is. They seem that there's only one thing for these people, that they call themselves Republican. so deviated from the original idea of the Republican that either everyone has to be converted to how I think, or I am going to get separated. That's the mentality they have. So these winners and losers takes us back to the origin of the United States of America. Actually, when the Declarations of the Independence was signed, everyone knows that the people attending there, they were clearly at least two nations, two different series of thoughts that was in there. But they had a common interest, that was emancipations of their livelihood, of their personal freedom, and possibly their estates from the injustice imposed upon them by the government of the United Kingdom at that time. So their commonality brought them together, but actually they were not one nation. They were two nations. This was the remnant of what was in England in the form of Irish, and English. It was transferred to US. And finally it gave the result to the Civil War. This war was fermenting from the past, from the very day the Declaration of Independence came in. And it just came out there. So this issue of North and South is always there in US. Probably it is always will be there too. It's very important. These are two elements, the two lively elements that, according to Hegel, they are the theses and antitheses that out of their interactions and their opposition, sometimes, and complementations, they create a synthesis of a nation. So these two groups of thought and thinking always been there. But when it comes to the point that divides a nation into losers and winners, there comes the champion of unity. One like it the world has not really seen, as good as him. And I am sure you always mentioned his name and you like him, so as I. And that was divinely guided Abraham Lincoln. When he saw his slim, narrow victory, it was a very narrow victory, he knew now is not the time of dominations of one group over the others. He brought that conciliatory language of uniting the nations. Told them, by the very book they believe in their home, there shouldn't be segregation of the population into black and white. Well, now, the underlying reason of this North and South right after the Declaration of the Independence really was that the people in the South, they were supplying all the essential goods from farming to the United Kingdom, which was buying them, paying the better price. And the North, in New York and Boston, Massachusetts, and those factories in the US could not able to beat their prices. And they brought the issue of the slavery that you have free laborers, and that's why you can afford to do these things. It doesn't matter what intrigues it, what's the underlying, whatever it is, it's the fact. This fact could be a material fact, it could be a spiritual fact, it could be a social fact. So, your election, second time around, it's totally to a wise man who studies, the world, and in my case, have a different, look over the subjects. It reminds one of the Civil War again. Your election was just equal, in many ways, of the North winning over the South. So, the president, in my opinion, has to put the gear I call it Lincoln gear of the conciliatory language. Because most of these losing and winning are psychological. Most of these voters, they have really no idea whether Mitt Romney or yourself, what could you do and what would you do and which one of you is better. They have no way of understanding it. The media has turned the United States into two, like everything else, like another game, a political game. They made it like a basketball team, two clubs opposing each other's. And by God, when you go in South and you talk to some of the people, they do not want to hear the name of Democrats. I was there after your first election in Arizona. I happened to go to clinics. I could not mention the name of Barack Obama. This blonde lady simply says, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him. And I said, for 1 second, why do you say that? This is the office of the president. You have not seen him. You have not spoken to him. Why do you even call him black? Isn't he equally white as well? She looked at me and says, where are you coming from? I said, I'm from north. I'm from Canada. And she says, no wonder. So I saw it's just, to them, it's a matter of pride. An unnecessary pride, a pride that they know what it is. So the conciliatory mood of the president, in my opinion, has to be there. Because this issue is big. It can come to a point of segregations of the United States into North and South. Something that I have prophesied, but I hate it to happen. I dearly hate it to happen. United States, the capital of the world, is the aspiration, the point, the focal point of freedom, of democracy for all the people of the world. United States and the people of the United States are not just for themselves. They are also for many thousands of admirers all over the world. They have a responsibility to keep things together, not just for the sake of themselves, but for the sake of the rest of the people in the world. One has to speak the language of Abraham Lincoln, and a lot more and bigger today because of so much progress and evolution, social evolution that we have undergone. So, I've been thinking that what should be done. When we hear 100,000 or 150,000 people in Texas or other places, they're thinking of secessions and seeking independence. It may be 100,000, but it represents a lot more of the people that they share the same sentiment, not to that far, but far enough that one has to simply pay serious attention to. So I think one of the ways that could be done, why don't we have a TV program every week, maybe Sunday 8 o'clock, where by your invitation, sir, all the past presidents, they participate. Senior Bush, Junior Bush, Mr. Carter, President Clinton, all of you get together. Honestly, stay away from the politics and tell the truth. Bring up the glory of the past, how things led, a very beautiful discussion, a lively discussion. People need to see this. The same thing could be done by the first ladies. They could as well get together, a program weekly, to talk about the American victory. Happen when the election every 4 years comes. That's an American victory. It's not the victory for one party. America is not parted. These are just two ways of thinking. As important and as serious it is, but it certainly does not make one group winner and one group losers. There's no losers here at all. Everybody is winner. It has to be, in my opinion, said that this is not a political game, and people have to stay away from those who are trying to make absolutely money out of the spoils. People like Rush Limbaugh. Their statement that eventually, like a knife, cuts through the heart and the soul and the pride of the people. So, I would mention to Americans that if your president seemingly represents the color of the minority, minorities, any one of them in the United States, are not responsible for this election. Majority of the people were white people. This is the fruit of the democracy. The result of the will of majority of the people were really they're white people. So everyone is really winner. It has to be mentioned, in my opinion. I am the fruit of you. It is the result of your democracy. This is to be celebrated, not to be attacked, not to be hated. The election of a minority leader, or seemingly minority, I can't see why you are minority, but if the color of the black or brown, like mine, is a minority, it creates a momentum. Many thousands of Americans, maybe black, I've been talking to them, that they would say there might be freedom in the United States, but is it ever possible for a black man to become president of the United States? Unless it is hallucinated by the people in Hollywood. This was a thing in many, many people, minorities. I'm not mentioning just the black, maybe the very native Indians. Your election actually is the proof of the fact that everyone in the United States is equally has the privilege to get there. Thousands of others that they would be eternally disappointed thinking that they can never become a president. Now they know they can. This takes the burden from psychological burden, criminal burden from a lot of these peoples. So it was a great, great thing that happened, election of the President Barack Obama. A great one. The effect of it, it passes way beyond the border of America. If I do not have the money and the means, but if somebody from the United States and the departments of the political science, they would go into North Africa and talk to the people in the road and see how many people they change their names to Obama. I've spoken to a few of them. He says, I changed my name to Obama. An engineer in Egypt. I spoke to in 2007. So this gave them such an incentive to think that the role model is not Osama, whose plan is destructions, but Obama, whose plan is take over. Why destroy? And that was the underlying psychological and main factor of all the revolution in the Islamic nations. Can anybody go investigate that and prove it to Americans that the collective of America, by electing Barack Obama, actually got rid of the legend of Osama? He has no root anywhere anymore. It's gone. The legend right now among them is Obama. So this is a great way of getting rid of the demagoguery of the powers of terrorists in the world. But more has to be done. I have 3 other opinions that I like to mention. Sir, you have been giving a lot of money, federal money, to the big corporations, which many of them worked. Some of them, like GM, actually started to give the money back. It's in the form of lending. But could not that change in these 4 years to give micro bailout, not the macro bailout, micro bailout, like microloans? Can the federal government step in and saves people from losing their houses by simply guaranteeing them to become their co-signers? If they're short 200 to pay that, if they have the money, they don't have the credit, they stand behind their credit. This would make a lot of Americans that are willing and even qualified to buy homes then be able to do it. Lack of credit is make them not to be able to buy. And if they buy houses, the economy gets a great boost. All the manufacturing moves. Because nothing is gone wrong in America, essentially. People are the same, people's demands are the same demands. Population, the same populations. Manufacturing wheels are there. So why is it not there? Is because so many Americans at the lower level, at my level, they lost their credit. Even if they want to buy, they can't. How long it takes the economy to be saved? See, till this credit company, they wipe out their credit, bad credits. Can the federal government do anything in this matter? I venture to say, for sure it will have effect. Whatever amount is, it will have effect. Number 2, I see right now that the way America is set up, it's one of the most amazing democracies in the world, where a president and the 2 houses, they can come from different parties. This will always create gridlocks. Could somehow your presidency be the harbinger of a serious federal change in the Constitution, allowing the president to be able to govern, just like the parliamentarian system in Canada, where the majority, the party wants the majority, the leader of that party will be the ruler of the country. It is not so in America. And that creates gridlocks. All these members of the Congress, they're so scared of their people, constituent, that they have voted for them, to even not to fight with you. It has become a matter of pride. Can the president speak to people that taxing the people at a higher level, it will create job? Why is that? It's because the poor people become a little bit richer. And if they become richer, then they are able to buy more. And who gets the benefit? The same rich people. There's no loss. It's not a corporate tax, it's a personal tax. They were paying before taxes. Now they pay more taxes. They have less income, but they can sell more. Therefore, they will have the same income. If they have $100,000 right now of a $1 million, and they have to pay $250,000, and they have $750,000, if they pay these higher taxes, their income will not be $1 million. Their income will be $2 million. As a result, the American public are the fish. The predator cannot kill them all, because then predators, capitalists, have no food to eat. This has to be spoken to people in a very simple way, especially to those states that they're voting for this kind of a congressman. These congressmen, they have a burden behind where they got elected. The matter have to be elucidated for the public, that this is not in the interest of the public. When matters such as that comes, and the gridlock comes, in my opinion, the president, it would be great to get some independent people, such as Bill Gates, such as Warren Buffett, high class, rich scientists, economists, to come together and prove to the public, to the nation, that this is better, and broadcasted right on TV. Let all the presidents get together and say, what do we do? So, perhaps there are more to say, but I'm old. I am now 56 years old, born in 1956 and 56. I may not have more than a few months among you, unless that the behest of the Lord of the creation changes, and my knowledge and my insight as a commodity would be hired by people and they want it, then I shall stay. With the apology and gratitude to you and to American people, I brought up these topics. May God be with you, sir.